Welcome to another Founder Wisdom Pod. We have Jonah Phillips with us today. Jonah is a founder and CEO at BrightSprout since 2013. They offer a suite of tools to help teacher make a printable classroom material more easily. So worksheets, crosswords, word searches, bingo, flashcards. So quite interesting and different company from the usual CEOs and founders I have on this pod. BookWriteGPT.com is presenting this podcast. So BookWrite is a tool that takes your LinkedIn posts and converts them into a beautiful Kindle book in 5 minutes. And the first credit is on me if you want to go to bookwritegpt.com. Jonah, welcome to the pod. Tell me a bit more about yourself and what you're up to nowadays.
Awesome. Thanks for having me. I mean, you covered the summary. I'm still working, to grow BrightSprout. We're working on making our worksheet maker as good as it can be. So when teachers want to make a printable classroom material worksheet, whatever, they come to us, they print it out, and it meets what they need.
And how did you get that idea? Like, why launch in that specific niche?
Good question. So partly it was, I mean, the origin is I used to work at a consumer finance company, which incredibly smart people, morally neutral at best. No, love my colleagues, but I remember thinking to myself, if we could bring this level of brain power optimization, all the things that modern tech companies can do, and bring that to helping education, that would be, as opposed to consumer finance, then that would be great. And not a lot of companies focus on education. They say there's not a lot of money there or whatever it is. And so I thought, let's try to fix that.
And how's it going? You've been running that one for 13 years. Is it an easy niche? Have you faced challenges? And has the growth been linear so far?
Um, I would call it both easier in some ways, harder in others than probably some of the other people that you talk to, because it's not, from a lot of perspectives, it's not seen as hip or seen as like there's a lot of money in education. No one's, that's not the popular wisdom. So it's not, I don't feel like I'm racing against 7 VC founded companies to do the same thing. So that's good. On the flip side, obviously, because that's not where, um, my typical customer is a teacher who is, making a worksheet for her classroom, maybe fourth grade English, um, goes to the site, makes a worksheet, prints it out, depending on what she's making. If she wants, more premium features, she could pay for that. Sometimes her school is going to reimburse her for that, but often she's paying out of her own pocket. So that's both something I really personally admire, but also there's not a ton of money in that, and you really have to deliver a huge amount of value to be able to. Charles, I think we lost you.
I think we're back now. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Could you?
Yes, I got the last part. Yeah, low competition, sort of, but how do you get more of these schools and these teachers to actually use you? What's your go-to-market motion?
So people find us either through Google searches, either organic search, paid ads, Microsoft also, word of mouth, and then what I was saying as you were dropping off is that teacher, when she makes a decision to pay, for a subscription service, sometimes her school will reimburse her, but often she's paying out of her own pocket. So in terms of value that we're providing to her, we've got to provide a huge value because she's paying money, basically something that, in my personal view, her school should be paying for. Uh, but she just is committed to helping her students and doing right by them. So we need to be providing a ton of value in helping her do that.
And is it more of a lifestyle business, or is it that rocket ship that you're trying to build?
I would say it's in between. I do subscribe to the slow growth philosophy in terms of I don't believe in the uh, in success being chasing the next round of funding. I think that's, in my view, a company is successful if it's making money, not if it's, getting, if you can give some of it away for someone else to give you money. You can always give pieces of your company away. But what makes it successful is if people are actually paying for it. So that's, on the one hand, that's that, but it's not, I am building for impact. And so that's not building to, support my own personal lifestyle. I want to have, I want the company to improve education. And so that means having a very wide reach.
And what you mean there is that you're mostly improving product, right? So is that the product here, like my worksheet maker,
Yep.
and then you just write your name, your date, and then what happens here? I just print the thing.
So
Um,
yeah, so one thing that's funny that this is reminding me of is we do, because we're trying to uh, help to improve our product. We've got paid user tests, so we've got videos of people and we say, you got to be a teacher to make the video. And it's very clear right away who's a teacher and who's not, because the teachers are right away trying to set up a worksheet that they're going to print. And the people who aren't, who are like pretending to be a teacher to get their like, $10 for 10 minutes, don't do it. But so imagine you are trying to make a worksheet to teach a student about different uh, let's say, literary devices like simile, metaphor, hyperbole, all that thing. You can make, a matching about it where you've got, simile on one side and, whatever it is, something like that. You've got chicken and egg. If you want a younger audience, you could have, I don't know what else, what else would be in there. But the idea is that if you want to do something quite straightforward and basic, you should be able to do that and it'll look right out of the gate. And then if you want to do something a little more complex with, all kinds of different types, there you go.
huh. So it's like a Canva for teachers, sort of.
Yeah.
Hmm. Interesting. And okay, why bingo and flashcards? Is it like time to have fun? Because I don't remember playing bingo and having flashcards on my end when I was young at school.
It happens sometimes. I will say the advent of the internet and other bingo makers online, when I was in school, it was harder to, if you're a teacher who's, let's say, trying to review a bunch of words. Imagine you're a fourth grade English teacher with a list of 20 vocab words. She could, read out the definition and have the student pick write in what the word is for their bingo. Or, she reads out the word and the student has to find the definition. Now that bingo, uh, making your own bingo is much easier to do than it used to be. Uh, she can make that and customize it for her educational needs.
Hmm. And it's $5 a month. Then I can print one time here. I'm guessing most people go with the $5 a month plan. What's the
Most people,
logic behind like all these
yeah,
pricing
most
plans?
people actually go for premium.
Okay.
That's the most popular because which is worksheets, flashcards, bingo, crosswords, word searches, everything. They're actually for worksheets specifically, we do have a free plan that's free forever because, part of being a mission-driven company is we want to be able to offer, the teachers who just want the basics and don't want, their own images or special fonts or whatever to be able to do something that's, will meet the educational needs. A lot of the extras are other, the like I said, the fonts you don't need. Um, you've got a
Right.
bare print without our logo. But most of the time, if you're a teacher, you want everything. There are some people who come to us who are not, it's made for teachers, but there are plenty of people who are, for crosswords especially, you get people who want to make a crossword for their fiance, and so, they want to do it once on Valentine's Day. They don't want to do it, all the times they're buying a single. And so there are use cases like that we want to be able to let people who need less not have to do full teacher value pack.
I really love the experience. The UX is very clean. It's very quick. So it shows that you worked on that for a long time. Let me guess the amount of $10 a month plan, like 1,000. Is that fair to assume?
We've gotten, let's see, let me do some math because in terms of revenues right now we are between 500K and a million per year in top line revenue.
That's pretty
So
good. And what features are you thinking to add as of late? Because maybe is there some AI into that? Because like I wrote egg and then it spotted the egg and then it gave me the egg picture. So what new features are you thinking to add there?
yeah, that's a good question. We actually, it's interesting that you mentioned the UI because one, we found that's the absolute top most important thing that people are looking for is good, clean AI because what we're competing with for the most part isn't Canva, it's teachers trying to make Microsoft Word or Google Docs or occasionally, the PowerPoint fit an education context, which it doesn't really, like the matching worksheet that, you made pretty easily, you takes forever if you want to try to convince, Word to do that, you basically give up. If you want to convince PowerPoint to do that, it'll take forever. So that's great. But then on the flip side, you say, okay, so now you're trying to be easier to use than Microsoft Word. Good luck with that. So we have to try to work hard to find a balance between providing the structure that teachers need to make those sorts of teacher-specific worksheet specific things and providing the flexibility that you could get on Word and Docs. So we actually have another round of UI improvements that will provide additional fidelity and additional fine tuning for teachers who want it while not disrupting the experience of the teachers who want it to just look kind of okay out of the box, or at least, pretty good. It looks good out of the box, but if they've got a specific need for how they want it to look or feel or a specific use case, we want to be able to support that. So that's the first step in terms of, you asked about AI, which I know you're pretty interested in. And that's an interesting question for us because something we've found is that in education, there's a lot less opportunity, at least at the current level that AI exists, than might meet the eye. There is, I think, some other company that's trying to do an AI worksheet maker where it's just like enter your prompt or what it should be about, and the AI spits something out. And I don't want to speak ill of my competitors, but I'm not worried about that as an approach um, right now because the product doesn't meet, if you're going to show this to 30 kids, you want it to be excellent and meet your needs and not have hallucinations or whatever.
Yeah, I think hallucinations are pretty low nowadays across a bunch of models. I think just like, I don't know, prompt to be like, hey, I want to build that in a teacher language, right? And then it would automatically build the sheet for you and lead you to step 10, you know?
So a lot of what we've found from working with teachers, and I actually also, I talk to a lot of teachers. My wife, former teacher, she's now an administrator in the school. And so both, customers and socially, as well as I also personally taught for just like a quarter as like a substitute comp sci teacher, because if I'm going to build a product for teachers, you can't, got to do the work. Um, is a lot of the building of like what you want students to learn and structuring. Let me introduce a concept, let me reinforce it, let me frame it, let me tie it back to the previous lesson, let me connect it to the next 3 days of lessons or 2 weeks of lessons or year, next unit, previous unit. That's not something that you can load all of that into an AI to do, and even within the specific, like what's on the page, even if you were able to tell it all those things, a lot of how we've seen teachers work on it is they're refining what they want to do on the page. They're not just coming in with I know exactly what it's going to look like right away. They're thinking through the process as they do it.
Got it. Super interesting. Yeah, we'll do a round two because I have like more questions on you. And we're sort of strapped on time today, like with education and AI and the future of
Hmm.
that. But you mentioned a couple of times that you're mission driven, right? And that's so important as a CEO, as a founder of a company, if you want to be successful. I really love also what you said about being a substitute teacher, like getting experience on the field. That's super duper important, especially if you're obsessed with UX and your product and what it is you need to be on the field. This is why a bunch of CEOs have their engineers start in customer service, right? Like to take
Hmm.
actual calls and to get feedback. But coming back to the mission focused question, like why do you feel that is so important? I mean, education, obviously, it's a very, very important mission. I'm also very much behind it. I have a new school for kids that I started using AI and entrepreneurship. It's called couni.com, right? So if there's no education, there's like unstable and shaky future generations, right? Like it's the basis of pretty much everything in life. So are you just that way? Just does it come to you just as a second nature? Because I see very few companies that are mission first and mission oriented nowadays.
Yeah, I mean, I don't. That's a good question. I don't. I don't think it's not something that came to me as like, I sat down and wrote out a business plan and said like, oh, I guess I'll do mission today. It was like that's just kind of who I am, and
You have kids, right?
I do. I have a
So
daughter.
that's
She's two.
yeah, that's like I guess once you have kids, you sort of realize that yeah, I need to start being an educator and a mentor and a guide, right? A leader.
Yes, though I didn't at the beginning. I guess part of it is, you know, I'm I'm both I'm aware of, that capitalism has been the greatest force in the universe for making society so much wealthier than it was, 50 years ago, 100 years ago. You compare it to a few hundred years ago, and people are like, lugging 200 gallons of water a day. That was, I guess, before rural electrification. So we're talking like less than a century ago, some people's job was carry 200 gallons of water per day up the hill from the well. I mean, that was just, in the United States. So love capitalism, but we all know about the I guess what the economists call market failures and what other people would say like, oh, it didn't work basically where it hasn't solved the problem. And I think education is one of those spaces where capitalism hasn't solved the problem. But if I want to solve that problem, you could say, okay, let's use a different tool that's not capitalism, that maybe doesn't have the track record of success. Or you say, let's take, the most powerful tool that we as humanity have invented and try to figure out how to make it work for this problem.
Right. And yeah, we need a second convo for that because I think I can solve it as well with like the company that I'm launching for kids, right? I want to have them start their own companies, linking that
Mhm.
directly to capitalism. And a bunch of people will say like, yeah, kids starting a company, getting money at like 7, that's weird. That's odd. Let them play, let them be. But I also have counter arguments for that. But yeah, let's book another one. Jonah, where can people find out more about you?
Um, this is funny. I don't actually use any social media, so, but
I saw
frankly,
that.
if I know, this is, well, that's a whole other conversation why I don't, but you can email me at jonah@brightsprout.com. I'll
It's
respond.
probably a valid reason, by the way, because yeah, social media nowadays. So yeah, we'll keep that one also for round two. So that was Jonah Phillips and Charles Cormier.